So the RWBY panel at RTX showed off an unfinished storyboard clip, and holy crap y'all, this 6-minute storyboard is giving me life, and it's filling my heart with love. It starts out with Winter reflecting on her past actions and coming to terms with the events that transpired in Atlas. A memorial was built dedicated to the heroes that were lost in the fall of Atlas, with numerous named teams being behind Winter. It then cuts away to one of my favorite moments of the entire clip. Winter monologues about how her family is doing their best to blend in and trying to make life a bit easier for the refugees, one step at a time. But of course, being a world-renowned Schnee, she's recognized and is given a harsh time by someone, and presumably, this isn't the first time that this is happening. The line, living at our level, makes me so happy that they're going in the direction of not everyone accepting the Schnees and the people of Atlas. The people of Vacuole have a long hard history with Atlas, as they essentially blame them for how barren Vacuole is and depleted of resources. And now, we get to see a genuine reaction from the people of Vacuole to the Atlesians. However, this could also be a citizen of Mantle. The two groups share a lot in common with feeling like they've been mistreated by the high and mighty people of the world. But we can see that not everyone feels the same way about the Schnees. Yet, the hostility from these people makes sense given their situation. Vacuole isn't this big kingdom with these big cities, plenty of housing, and fancy-pantsy luxuries. So adding an extra few hundred people puts a heavy strain on everyone. The people of Atlas have no home, little food, and are surrounded by people that they probably don't want to be around. Nevertheless, I still love Willow's attitude towards the situation. She's doing her best to make things better. She doesn't snap, she doesn't get angry, she's quite saddened at the situation. We the audience know a bit about Willow's character, and while we know that she's not like her late husband, it's clear that she doesn't want people to suffer. And with Crow by her side, I'm glad that she has someone to lean on. Afterwards, we see a shot of Meryl, Fiona's uncle, and Winter as she goes up to the memorial. She goes on and discusses how Weiss would know what to do in this situation, and how Weiss is the true heir to the SDC. Man, she has a lot of faith in her sister. I do agree that Weiss is the true successor of the Schnee name, following the footsteps of the great Big Nicholas, but Weiss isn't exactly a strategist. But hey, at least she has her team to back her up in those lacking traits. Now, the next sequence, you see the words "Don't come back" written on the memorial. Upon watching this scene for the first time, I was a bit confused on who wrote the message, but thankfully it was clarified that Winter was the one who wrote it, because she feels as if they haven't done their sacrifice justice, and she's ashamed of how things turned out. We then turn to Crow's perspective, and just, wow. I'm going to talk about Crow later because I love what they're setting up. The contrast between Crow and Winter is just so great. Afterwards, we see Crow meet up with Robin as the two discuss their current situation, and eventually, Robin shows Crow a memorial of RWBY and how she's become this idolized hero to the people. RWBY's message worked. She won. Crow shed some tears, and then, oh boy. Crow heads over to an overlook of the city, and we get Raven's portal opening up with Team RWBY and John coming out of it. I have so many questions. But first off, the way the scene plays out is just great, and it puts a tear in my eye. You sent a message and the world answered. What a damn line. Now this storyboard won't be an exact one-to-one once it makes it into the proper show, so take everything with a grain of salt. But Raven? Here? Now? And she's smiling, not being aggressive, not being snarky, a genuine smile at the reunion of Crow and company. This is great. And going back to Crow and Winter, with them contrasting each other, with Crow being optimistic and Winter having this aura of despair around her, this could be great if we get the context of how they got to this point. There was very clearly a time skip involved. Oster looks more mature, Ren looks like he should be in the NBA, and they've had time to at least set up the refugee camps. But the last time we saw Crow, he was bawling his eyes out at the end of Volume 8. Man just lost his daughters, yet he's still keeping his head up, even taking one out of Clover's book and having a hopeful outcome. I love it, but we went from point A to point C. I need point B. I need an explanation, at least in the first 3 chapters of Volume 10. That is the one thing that they cannot skip out on. Winter is completely down in the slumps over the loss of her sister, her dad, her home, and her whole kingdom. She dedicated her whole life to the protection of Atlas, and now it's gone. While I didn't expect her to be walking around with sunshine and rainbows, I can't blame her for this reaction. But on the flip side, it's such a nice change of pace with Crow, the man burdened with bad luck, to have this aura of life around him. He's smiling and just giving out good vibes in this situation. But Raven, I'm going to need a whole rewind on. The last time we saw Raven was in Volume 5, where she left Yang to finish the fight with Salem, with Raven making it very clear that she thinks it's stupid to oppose Salem. Yet, we all know that Raven saw RWBY's message, and there has to be more to the story. I cannot fathom Raven hearing RWBY's message, thinking it over, and going, you know what? She is right. I need to go check out Vacuole. Maybe we can beat Salem. No, she made it very clear that she wanted an out from this entire situation. Yet, here she is. I can understand if she went to Vacuole just to find out what happened to Yang. Crow gives her a brief summary of the events that transpired, and the two came to a mutual agreement. That part is fine. It's just how and why she decided to come to Vacuole. Did she just want to check up on Yang and couldn't teleport to her? Was she somehow inspired by RWBY's message? She did state that RWBY sounded a lot like Summer. Maybe RWBY hit a soft spot, but I doubt it. It would also be difficult for someone to even get in contact with Raven, simply due to her nature and Skrull communications. We don't know the full extent of Raven's semblance, so she probably has some hidden passive with it. However, this does confirm that Raven cannot teleport to the Ever After. You cannot tell me that Raven didn't at least try to teleport to Yang after she found out what happened in Atlas. There was no body, so why would Raven even believe Crow in the first place? So there's a possibility that Raven tried to go after Yang, but couldn't. And as much hate as Raven gets in the show, think about it. Yang's whole life, Raven has had the ability to go by her side whenever she needed to. And now, Raven's in a situation where she doesn't know if her daughter is safe. She can't be there to watch over her. Raven is still her mother at the end of the day, and for the first time in her life, she can't make it to Yang. So I'm going to assume that Raven is going to have more of a presence going forward, instead of just teleporting RWBY back and dipping. You know, they could also weave in some Stark lore too, with RWBY hopefully questioning Raven. Hopefully. Copium. I'm about to just animate it myself. But Raven and RWBY, an interaction that I hope to see more of. But that's essentially the epilogue. We get a shot of RWBY looking out in the distance at Vacuole. Team Juniper and Oscar reappear. I will say, Oscar looks great. He's really rocking that Osmond look while still keeping his own identity. It's a good fit for him. But that's the epilogue. We got to see part of the aftermath of Volume 8 with a small update on our current situation. While we didn't get the green light, I'm glad that we at least got something that was relevant towards Volume 10. For now though, we just have to continue playing the waiting game and just see what happens next.